Erika Kirk suffered an unspeakable tragedy. But is it being used to push a political agenda? Because here is the thing. Turning Point USA has spent years calling teachers groomers, labeling Democrats America haters, and dehumanizing immigrants, minorities, and LGBTQ people. And they do all of it while presenting themselves as a Christian organization. John Fugelsang just said out loud what millions of people have been thinking. And the first thing Erika Kirk said in her own video gave him the perfect opening to do it.
There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country.
Dehumanization, she used that word. And she is right that it is real and it is serious. But here is the question nobody in her circle wants to answer. Who taught America that dehumanization is an acceptable political tool? Because it was not the left that built an entire media empire around calling teachers groomers. It was not the left that turned the word immigrant into a slur and used it to fire up arenas full of people. It was not the left that branded entire communities as enemies of America and sold that hatred as patriotism. Erika Kirk is using the right word. She is just pointing it in the wrong direction. And John Fugelsang is about to make that impossible to ignore.
But I have to be fair here. This is Turning Point USA. I go to their website. I don't see a single teaching of Jesus Christ. I don't see them fighting for anything in the Beatitudes or Matthew 25. I see dehumanization of immigrants, of LGBTQ folks. I see dehumanization of minorities, of professors. I see teachers called groomers. I see Democrats called America haters. This is what Turning Point USA sells. They are grievance merchants pretending to be a Christian organization while fighting for zero of the teachings of Christ.
Grievance merchants. That is the most accurate two-word description of Turning Point USA that has ever been said on television, because that is the entire business model. Find an enemy, manufacture outrage, sell the anger back to people who have been told that their problems are caused by immigrants, by professors, by Democrats, by anyone except the people actually making the decisions that affect their lives, and dress it all up in a cross. The audacity of invoking Christ while running an organization built entirely on the things Christ specifically warned against. That is not a contradiction they stumbled into accidentally. That is a deliberate choice, because the cross is the most powerful brand in America, and TPUSA knows exactly how to use it. Now watch the full clip and pay attention to every moment Fugelsang holds that mirror up, because what he exposes goes even deeper than this. This is one of those clips that does not feel like a panel discussion. It feels like someone finally saying the thing that needed to be said for a very long time. Erika Kirk's tragedy is real. The grief is real. But the organization she is now the face of deserves every word of what is coming. Let's watch the full clip. I will give you my thoughts towards the end, and don't forget to subscribe.
This week, Erika Kirk spoke out following the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which she attended. In a video posted to social media, Kirk addressed the attempted assassination of Donald Trump at the dinner and a fresh wave of conspiracies about her husband's murder.
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country.
I have a lot of sympathy for Erika Kirk because she has been through some really extraordinary, bizarre things over the last several months. It is interesting to me, though, that the truth of the matter is that the worst of it, she mentioned Candace Owens, has come from the right, from her former friends. And I mean, I think that is the part to me that kind of is left unsaid here. It's not true that just sort of major news outlets are writing conspiracies about her. It's true of a specific subsection of the Candace Owens fan base, which is on the right. And I think that she's right, that it's dehumanization, but it's also the internet and how these people who are loony can just become so powerful.
Well, the worst of it that's magnified and amplified online, yes, has been coming from the right, but there's no shortage of people on the left who are saying the very same things. And when I watch this video, I see a woman who is, I mean, go on Twitter, go on Threads, go on all those, and people are saying this stuff constantly. There is a dehumanization of this woman who is grieving and will be grieving for the rest of her life. Every time she looks at her children, she will see her husband who was killed in a very, very violent act. And as I was watching that video, though, who came to mind was Gabby Giffords, the former congresswoman who was shot in the head outside of a supermarket during a Congresswoman on Your Corner event by someone who had mental issues but also hated her because she supposedly didn't answer a question to his satisfaction at a town hall once. And I put them in the same category for this reason. I believe that Gabby Giffords has incredible moral authority to talk about gun rights or gun control, sorry. And I don't necessarily agree with her, but she comes from a place of personal lived experience, an experience, God willing, none of us will ever have. Erika Kirk comes from that same place, an experience that I hope no one ever has to live through again. But when she talks about rhetoric, when she talks about free speech, she does have that authority to make that case to people, just like Gabby has the authority to make her case.
I don't think anyone's disagreeing with what Erika Kirk said in her video. I think she's someone, I mean, she went through a tragedy that everyone saw play out online. And I think what she said, I mean, to you, what you were saying earlier, it's like it's her own friends that have been spreading conspiracy theories about her. I mean, I think she needs obviously new friends, but also, I mean, it's absolutely tragic what's happening and like some of the vile that she's facing. I think this is like a larger societal problem, though. Conspiracy theories can spread very quickly on Twitter or X now and other social media sites, and there's not really this check that I've seen in a way that is sufficient enough to debunk these very quickly. And so you have things spreading like wildfire, and she's right to be upset about it. I think that's completely fair, but I think the larger question is, what are we going to do about it? And that's on the right and the left.
Let me play a little bit more of what she said about the dinner itself that she attended on Saturday.
And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me. And I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me?
I think I feel so sorry for her. I've never really heard her speak, but when you think of what she has been through, this visceral tragedy that will be played out.
With respect to the unspeakable tragedy that Erika Kirk has lived through, and if we had laws making you secure your weapon in the home, that shooting and Sandy Hook would not have happened. And I wish she would do something on behalf of gun victims and try to prevent future violence. But I have to be fair here. This is Turning Point USA. I go to their website. I don't see a single teaching of Jesus Christ. I don't see them fighting for anything in the Beatitudes or Matthew 25. I see dehumanization of immigrants, of LGBTQ folks. I see dehumanization of minorities, of professors. I see teachers called groomers. I see Democrats called America haters. This is what Turning Point USA sells. They are grievance merchants pretending to be a Christian organization while fighting for zero of the teachings of Christ.
We'll leave it there. Next.
I want to start somewhere the panel did not go, because the conversation kept circling around Erika Kirk personally, her grief, her tragedy, her video. And I understand why. What happened to her family is genuinely devastating. But I think focusing on Erika Kirk as an individual lets Turning Point USA off the hook in a way it absolutely should not be. TPUSA is not an accident. It is a machine, a very deliberately constructed machine. And the machine has one primary function: to take legitimate grievances that real people have about their lives and redirect that anger toward whoever Charlie Kirk and his successors decide is the enemy this week. Immigrants, professors, teachers, the LGBTQ community, Democrats, the target changes, the anger stays constant, and the people funding it get richer. That is the business model. That is what Fugelsang called grievance merchants. And I want people to really sit with what that means. A grievance merchant does not solve your problem. A grievance merchant profits from your problem. They need you to stay angry. They need you to feel under attack, because the moment you feel safe, the moment you feel heard, the moment your actual problems start getting addressed, you stop watching, stop donating, stop clicking, so the content can never bring peace. It can only escalate, and that escalation has consequences that go far beyond a television panel. Now on the Christianity question, and I want to be very direct here because this matters. Jesus of Nazareth was one of the most radical figures in human history. He ate with the people society rejected. He touched the people no one else would touch. He defended the accused when the crowd was ready to execute them. He told the wealthy that their attachment to money was a spiritual crisis. He said, "The last shall be first." He said, "Blessed are the poor. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the peacemakers." None of that is in the TPUSA content library. Not one sentence of it. What is in the TPUSA content library is the exact opposite of every one of those teachings. Celebrate the wealthy. Mock the poor for their choices. Demonize the stranger. Own the opposition. Fight to win. Never compromise, never show mercy, and call it Christian values. The reason that matters is not just theological. It matters because millions of people, genuinely faithful, genuinely sincere people, are being sold a version of Christianity that has been completely hollowed out and filled with political ideology instead. And they cannot see it because the branding is so good. The cross is on the stage. The flag is right next to it. And the anger feels righteous because it has been dressed up in the language of faith. Erika Kirk had a moment, a genuine, rare moment where her personal tragedy gave her the kind of moral authority that very few people ever get access to. She could have used it to say, "I know what it feels like to lose someone to violence. I know what it feels like to live in the aftermath of a gun. I am going to spend whatever platform I have, making sure fewer families go through what mine went through." That would have been transformative. That would have been the Gabby Giffords path. Instead, she made a video about being dehumanized on behalf of an organization that has made dehumanization its single most profitable product. And that is the tragedy inside the tragedy. Not because she is a bad person, but because the machine she inherited does not have room for the kind of healing her own grief was pointing toward. The dehumanization is real. It is just not coming from where she is pointing. And until that changes, until TPUSA is willing to look at its own content and ask whether any of it reflects the teachings it claims to follow, nothing John Fugelsang said on that panel will matter to the people who most need to hear it. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. The next one is right here. Do not miss it.